Are you looking for real, raw, and unfiltered news about what's happening in the greater Philadelphia area? Are you sick of all the vanilla takes about the local issues affecting our community right now? You're in the right place. Tune in to the Philly Face-to-Face podcast. Welcome back to the Philly Face-to-Face podcast. We are very grateful to have Krissy Flynn on, the owner of the Classic Diner. They got locations in Malvern and Westchester. Krissy, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I know you've been doing a lot of great work for supporting local businesses. Obviously, you're in the hospitality restaurant business. Pretty tough 10 months.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so when March hit, we were all like panicking. We didn't know what to do. So, we had to lay off the majority of the staff. All of my salaried people we kept on and a few others. But we were like, what are we going to do? So we do a ton of corporate catering, and the restaurants are like shut down for dine-in. So we're like, oh no. So my partner and I sat down one night. We totally reinvented ourselves and started doing these family meals, which helped out. And the restaurants, they're closed. So we dropped off catering vehicles to both of the restaurants, and so we could do our own deliveries, which helped. The customers were super thankful for. But then comes summer, we had the outdoor dining at both locations, and that was actually not bad. Weather driven, it was not bad, but it has been such a stressful year for us mentally and just financially. But what really hurt was when the Philly restrictions happened in the fall and the weather changed. It tore us apart. So it was pretty much a horrible holiday season when normally, this industry's thriving.
Yeah.
And I'm just right now glad to be open somewhat, and we need to get to spring. That is like, after I keep, talking to, my colleagues in this industry and my staff and my partner, I'm like, we get to spring and I think we'll be okay.
Well, I do see a lot of optimism in the world right now. Like, it seems like people are a little different. There's news of the vaccine coming. You're able to have indoor dining again, which is huge. So you talked a little bit about how you've been keeping your business afloat and had to pivot, which, like any business owner out there, you probably had to go through the same thing over the past 10 months. So, talk a little bit about, you reinvented yourself. So, like, another business owner that's struggling, or they're thinking about maybe having to close, like, what advice would you have for those people right now? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that are right where you are, or, we got squeezed a little bit too, not like hospitality, but I know what it's like being told you can't do what you're supposed to be doing and earn a living.
Exactly. So one thing I can say is try and stay positive. There was some times where I was going down this dark hole that's not my personality and not the way I am, and I had to totally check myself. But some things, get with other people into your industry. What I can say about our industry is that the relationships that I've built with other business owners and restaurant owners, mostly in the restaurant industry during this time, has been pretty special. People I've never even thought to reach out. And it's not like, at this point, nobody's in competition. We're all rooting for each
100%.
other. And that to me is I love it. I love it. The other thing I can say is check your bills. Call your utility companies. Call your trash company. If you have auto loans for company cars, they're deferring payments. Just talk. I don't know if somebody has bookkeeper. That has helped us along the way of watch your spending and watch your labor, to just keep it as simple as you can just to get through this. And lastly is, when I did feel really down, and especially now when we did have the 25% and then nothing, and then being in front of my customers and interacting and knowing how supportive they are being for us, it gives me all the hope of why I'm in this industry altogether, is seeing their faces and knowing they're rooting for us to get through.
Well, restaurants are a fabric of the local communities, right? I mean, before we even met, and we have a mutual connection with one of our team members, and Krissy are very good friends. But we would get catering from you guys all the time for our retreats and offsites, and I mean, this is a locally known establishment throughout Chester County. So, I think people want you to succeed because they have good memories here. They come here from work. They come here for brunches and fun events. So, I think there's a lot of people that are missing coming here as well, and I think that's the thing, that there's a lot of goodwill in the community right now that a lot of people aren't aware of. So, you mentioned something there I find really interesting, and because I know we went through the same thing. We were told, hey, you can't do anything in person for 60 days, and we didn't know it was only going to be 60 days. and that's during the spring market. So like you mentioned, the holidays is a peak time for you. That's basically the same thing for realtors. And like going through and understanding your finances, like most, like do you feel like a lot of like restaurants or places like this don't know what their numbers are? They don't understand their P&L?
I'm not sure. I have a really strong bookkeeper, and my partner and I are pretty dialed in. But throughout this whole time, every week, we went through every single number as far as where are we for this week, where are we, knowing what our break even is of our overhead and where we can cut back. And there were some really tough weeks. And then there were some weeks that got us through. And our business has always been self-sufficient. So it's not something that we always checked our numbers, but to dig in this deep, it's been challenging, but eye-opening at the same time. And knowing, hopefully things will get back to somewhat of where we were. I think it's only going to make us stronger.
I mean, I think about that, and I think about other small businesses that are out there, and a lot of times they don't know their numbers. They have no idea what their expenses are, and then they have stuff that's coming up on their expense sheet every month, and they don't even know what it's for half the time.
Right. So yes, that I can just tell you, and I calling even Verizon, which I was absolutely shocked. I'm like, oh, you're going to save me $120 a month? I'm like, I thought I was in contract. Whoever thought that they would actually help me.
Yeah, well, especially a big corporation like that, because it seems like those people seem to be the least sympathetic during this whole thing. So that's really great advice. I mean, there's a lot of people I know, like realtors or like accountants. I mean, well, accountants hopefully are doing this, but even like the small business, the one-person shop, the one-person law firm, that's something like everyone should write that down, and you could just stop watching the podcast right here and have a better business. So I really love that piece of advice. To talk about that, I mean, that's something that's really supportive, and that's great advice. Now, you've been doing like a ton of work with other restaurants, and you said like there's no competition anymore.
I don't feel that way, and I'd hope the others wouldn't either, because you know what? That whole saying, we're all in this together. Well, in this industry, we really are, and I want them to also succeed. In this community, you're right. You're saying it's all local. Chester County, and it's my home, and I see these places that have opened, and I would hate to see them go away. This community has been so great to us, so I just want to be there for them.
Well, and I think that's really like the difference between a business owner that's going to be successful, in my view, because and we say this all the time in our industry as well, like you can learn a lot from the people that maybe is your competition, right? Like, and competition to me is very different. I mean, I think ultimately we all compete against ourselves, right? Like it's about you running a better business, putting the right, fare out there. I mean, there's all these different competitive advantages that you have that are unique to you that no one else is going to be able to do. So, what have you learned from like the other businesses that are out there? I mean, talk about how like you've supported each other, because I think this is like the one thing I've seen the most is that your industry's really come together.
Yeah. So one thing is, I'm on this group email with, and I had it. Some of it got political because we're trying to get ourselves open, and it's like, how can we get our voice heard?
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So there's like 80 people in this email that one of the other restaurant chains started, which I was very thankful for, and it's like everybody's asking each other, so what are you doing with this? What are you doing? Like, it's some of the stuff that I already mentioned, whether it is your bills or, getting through with, staff and that has been helpful. The other thing are these Facebook groups. There's one in particular called Feed Us Westchester and Surrounding Areas, and then the Malvern Community Forum and the Mainline Restaurant Specials. Everybody's promoting each other. Of course, we're promoting ourselves. But if someone's looking for barbecue or a food truck or a cake for their son's birthday, you know what? We're all just trying to help each other. Who's got cocktails to go? I obviously don't sell cocktails. I'm going to promote the heck out of everybody else.
Well, I think that's really important to see, because it'd be easy to be like, you know what? I'm in this for myself. I don't care about anybody else, and that's not going to serve you long term, and people are going to remember that stuff too. Like when things open up and everyone gets vaccinated, because I'm clear there will be a major like dining, hospitality, like get together communal renaissance hopefully in the next few months. Well, and you look at the pace and the capacity for vaccines. I mean that's coming. So people are going to remember that stuff too, and it's like what you do in private, like that's what really determines like the quality of somebody, or like when nobody's looking. So I mean. That I think there's going to be a lot of folks that, when you did the wrong thing, karma's a real thing, right?
It is. The one other thing I wanted to add, and I don't know if you saw this, but over the holiday, obviously people are all sitting outside freezing.
Yeah.
You know, Haley Oil in Malvern, which is another local business. They've been, patronizing us since the beginning. They gave complimentary propane to all these restaurants for the holiday season.
That's amazing.
And it's like you weren't thinking of that but how great is that for our community?
Well, I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, I think if people don't come together now, you're really going to see the people that, everyone, it's funny when they have values about their company. Like, some people talk about it, and then some people actually they don't talk about it, they just do it. And, that's a prime example. And I think that's really supporting your local community, because it was, like, I've eaten outside once or twice. It's cold. Like, it's not warm out, right? I mean, and like a day like today, like, wouldn't it be too bad? But it's windy out. I mean, it's bad.
I know. The one thing I can say is we at our Westchester location, we do have an enclosed heated patio upstairs. It's not too big, but it's cozy. And so if people are, still not feeling comfortable being inside a restaurant, we do have that option available.
Well, I think that's important because, the spectrum here is going to be like, I'm going inside, I don't care.
Yep.
I'm still concerned. And you don't know people's situation. They may have like an older relative. They may have some sort of health problem that not everyone knows about. And like, that's nobody's business. So I love that you have the flexibility there. So like, what else have you been doing? I mean, I know you've been doing a lot of to-go meals. I know you have like your like all-in pan specials. You've been doing a lot of like group events. So talk about how we can support your business, because that's just as important as anything else we're talking about.
Absolutely. Here. So now we are open, at some capacity. But we are doing takeout. There is delivery through third party, which we really don't want, but we have to.
Because they take a pretty large commission,
yeah,
right?
25%. It's very large. We do deliver for the restaurants if you give us some notice. Our catered family meals have been really. We never used to do that. We were like corporate, 10 people and above. Like that's
what we order literally for our retreats every year.
So the family meals now we're doing 4-person family meals. Now we're doing these 3-pan meals this week. It's a limited special, which you get like 3 meals all in one pan for under $100, which it breaks down to be like $6 per.
Well, and think about like the parents at home teaching their kids, right? Oh my gosh, the last thing, and like I've been through this. Like there were many days where my wife's teaching our at the time first grader in kindergarten. Like she's like crying, and she knows all this, Bridget. Like this isn't a surprise. And like the last thing you want to do is like, oh, now I got to cook dinner and feed them all. So I think all the moms out there, all the dads that are doing virtual school or hybrid, like this is a great way to support a local business, but also like give yourself a break.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing a lot of people aren't doing is they're go all the time and they don't have that option. To me, like I'm all for making my life easier at home because it's tough on the kids too.
I know, and yes, I agree. So the other thing is the gift cards, especially for the holidays. Our gift card sales are higher than they ever have been. People wanting to support us, and giving them as I know a couple realtors that gave them out of Westchester, but there's one realtor in particular. He did like a taste of the town, and
nice.
He got a bunch of different gift cards to a bunch of different restaurants. And that was like their holiday gift. But the gift cards have the cash flow. It helps with the cash flow.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, that's the business like reality that we're all in because your rent or your mortgage payment is still coming due every month, right? And just because there's some people working with doesn't mean it's everybody. Businesses have expenses to deal with, and that's what I think that some of the decision makers here don't get. It's like, oh well, we're going to push this back, we're going to push that back, but like they're not the creditors involved here. Like that's the big problem right now.
Absolutely, and like with the utilities, you don't stop paying them because it's not going to go away. It's only going to add up.
Yeah.
And that's when we made our decisions in the beginning in March. I'm like, I'm not like we're gonna continue paying our utilities through this whole thing because I'm not going to have a pile of PICO at the end of the summer that I'm like, oh, now how am I going to pay this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think these are the toughest. Like this is, unfortunately, what you're talking about here is not unique. This is what every person is going through right now. So, you gave some great advice there about the line item review. I think that's something like I got that advice from some people I know in my industry. Like that's like the number one thing and it should have been hopefully done by now already. Any other advice you got for business owners that are trying to get through? It seems like there is a light at the end of the tunnel here, which I think helps.
At this point, yes. If you would have talked to me in December, I would have a totally different face on. But at this point, I do. I would say just if you're really struggling, reach out to another business owner. You can reach out to me. I'd be happy to help anybody. If I can understand somewhat of what your business is. But we're all in this industry. We're all entrepreneurs.
100%.
So just reach out to someone.
Well, in business, just because you're in a different industry than me, like fundamentally, you still got to look at your P&L. You got to file your tax returns. You got to do all these different things that you have to have an operation set up. So, I mean, I'll be happy to make that same offer as well. I think you need to reach out to somebody that can kind of help you work through this.
Yes.
So, one of the things we talked about doing, which I love, so all the frontline workers that are out there, like
yes,
a lot
thank
of people,
you.
Yeah, well, thank you, number one. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of you personally. I'm happy to see them all get like vaccinated. I see the post on Facebook, like that's really exciting. What we're going to do with Krissy and our team, and hopefully some help from everyone watching, is we're going to run like a bit of a fundraiser here. We're going to have the link in the show and in the posts and all that. Valerie will take care of all that afterwards. What we're going to do is we're going to get delivery meals for the frontline workers, specifically at Mainline Health, because they serve really like the communities we serve, like all the way from Lankenau into Bryn Mawr, in Riddle, Paoli, all in between. And we'll reach out to some of the people I know there because of some connections I have with like clients and people that we've helped. But what we're going to do is like find out like a good time to like have the meal dropped off, like because I feel like a lot of like these people have been working the entire time, and it's hard.
They
Like,
have,
it's not
and
easy.
and everybody just thinks just certain floors, but they're all involved,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all doing their part. Whether it's from bringing in the new babies with the new mamas,
Yeah.
or to the lab testing, or to the ER. Like thank you again. We want to give back to them.
So we're gonna donate as many meals as we can, and our team's gonna match all the donations over the period. And then what we'll do is we'll separate them out to the different hospitals. We'll send them some great food. I mean, this place has like killer food. Like if you haven't tried it, like I'm not one person to say like, hey, I like eating because we're here. But I mean, I've been eating here before I even got to meet Krissy. So we're gonna do that as kind of a thank you, one, for all the great work she's been doing, because I know you've been out there fighting the good fight more than a lot of other people. And secondly, like, the frontline workers, I mean, they're the ones like trying to help get everyone through this. They're getting vaccinated. That to me is like the most exciting thing, is like actually seeing those, like all that proof of service, like, hey, I got vaccinated, we're crushing COVID. Like that means a lot to me, and we've got a lot of great people we know at the Mainline Health System. So that's something we're gonna do here. So anything else people should know about, like talk about like your business, like anything you want anyone else to know right now? I mean, I think it's a great time to highlight some of the stuff you're doing, or even like the best way to contact you.
Yeah, so we've been in business since 1995. My partner started here in this Malvern location, and just growing this business in the Malvern community is just breakfast and lunch, scratch kitchen. Like, we're known for our bacon. It's like super thick cut, really good bacon. Our portions.
The bacon's good.
It is good, but it's just a great family, feeling, restaurant. We opened our Westchester location 6 years ago in downtown Westchester, which is a different vibe from around here, but it's fun, especially when the weather's nice. People walking around. Saturday mornings, we call it the puppy parade. Everybody's out with their dogs. And then we have our catering department, which we're doing a ton of corporate, private parties, small weddings, and now we're doing all these family meals. So we're here in Malvern. We're right on Route 30. If you go on our website, it shows all 3 locations. You can make a reservation right through there. You can order online. You can reach out to us, whether it's a catering inquiry or you're looking for a reservation or anything, any type of event. But yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, we'll drop all the social, like all the links, all the contact info here. More importantly, I think that the whole Chester County community and the restaurant community specifically owes like Krissy a big thank you, because she has really been like out there, like fighting the good fight, trying to get things moving. And we're gonna get back from this, and then this is where I'm gonna throw it back to the audience watching. Like, you're gonna need to come out and support these businesses, because one person can't do it. And as much as us and our team and Nick behind the camera and everybody else is gonna be here, I mean, you owe these people a thank you, because they're a real part of our community here. So hopefully, weather warms up. If you're comfortable coming inside, the fact that you can do indoor dining to me is really exciting. And my view of restaurants, and I think this is, and I don't mind saying this here, everyone's worried that they're like not going to be safe. I don't think there's going to be any place cleaner than a restaurant or a hair salon right now, in my view. I mean, I've been to a few of these. I've gone indoors, and we're safe. We got masks on. I got my mask right here, but obviously we're 6 feet apart. So I don't think anywhere is going to be cleaner. I mean,
you're right.
Talk about your safety.
Okay, so
this is actually really important.
It is. So that night when we get shut down, Tom and I sat down. We put together a sanitation plan. We put together a letter that we posted out to our staff, to all on our website, and we're following the CDC guidelines. So what was really cool is there's this group called Restore Chester County.
Yep.
And they came out and they basically did like a little health inspection to make sure that we were compliant. Got hand sanitizer, the masks, all the PPE. I even have these QR codes. So I was spending so much money on paper menus, throwing them out every day. I'm like, this is silly. So now we have these QR codes that you can just click and go right to our menu. But making sure that we are wiping down we have I have the digital thermometer to take temperatures, and we weren't scheduling a lot of staff just for that fact as well. And if anybody was exposed, they weren't coming back until they were 14 days. And we've been doing our part, and I can tell you both locations this year got pretty much a perfect score in our health inspection. So I know my staff's doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, and that's the thing. I think, it's that there is a safe way to do this. And I said this about real estate. I've said this about everything else. I mean, I find this whole QR code thing funny because no one used QR codes ever. Like, they tried to use them in real estate and now all of a sudden they've got a real use. So, like, being able to do that and put it on your phone, well, that eliminates paper waste, which is good for the environment anyway. Eliminates like the touching back and forth, like having to sanitize menus, all that sort of nonsense. It's here, it's wipeable. I mean, that's what people are, when you talk about pivoting and innovating, this is a great example because this technology sucked until the coronavirus came into play. And now everyone's using it.
We still have menus if someone's uncomfortable.
Sure.
And we'll wipe it down afterwards. But this has really helped because when I was getting my printer bill, I'm like, oh my goodness, that was just way too much money. When I couldn't be spending extra money, that was one expense I just had to cut.
Yeah, I mean that to me is like a great business move. I mean, you take something that was kind of funky and now it's all over the place. I mean, so and hearing how detailed the safety policy is here is really important because this is what restaurant owners are doing. This is what any business that felt the squeeze of the shutdown is doing right now. Whether it's restaurants, hair salons, gyms. We have a safety policy at our office for the same reasons. So I mean, and we weren't again. We were squeezed for a shorter amount of time. I know the feelings that you're having right now. I've been through it myself. So, anything else you want to leave anyone with? I mean, we covered a lot here and we unpacked a lot. And more importantly, I'm just happy to get your story out there because it's been such an important thing for Chester County. I grew up around here. My first job was up the street. So I mean, this is very local to me and our team and our clients and our audience here as well.
Yeah. So not just the restaurants, but really try to shop local. Really try to just think before you make a purchase and give back. The pay it forward throughout this whole pandemic has been amazing to see whether it was frontline workers, it was family meals going to churches, we gave back to the domestic violence, the Home of the Sparrow, the Covenant House down people, and it doesn't have to be a lot. We raised money. If you want to help us give back to Mainline Health, any little bit helps because it's all just going to add up. So pay it forward. Support local, and just try to keep positive. That's what my New Year's resolution is to me, is to just be present in my business as much as I can and just stay positive and let's get through this.
I mean, I don't think there's much better word to say than that to end this right here. So, Krissy, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for thinking of us.
Well, I'm happy to support local too because this is the community we serve and we got to support the people that are here and that's what we're all about. So, service is one of our core values and this may not seem like service. I'm sure this is going to make a big difference. So, super excited to have you on. We'll put all her contact info there. The link to donate to Mainline Health, help support the Classic Diner. We'll be back soon. Support another business. Go local. Take care.
Thank you.